Hawks, Hoops, Talk, and Squawk. Go and let y'all know the reason why, because people have been asking me why I no longer financially support the Philadelphia 76ers organization. And that has nothing to do with the basketball team, more so with the organization, primarily with ownership, who has just shown non-stop disrespect to the fan base, particularly those that are more than just fans. They're actually hoops enthusiasts who could contribute to the fan base more than just cheering in the stands. I'm talking about those that really rep the team to the fullest. You know what I mean? Me being one of them, being a writer with my content. The late, great Joey D, who spearheaded the 76ers group fan movement. All these groups now that you see out here, Sixers 24/7, which Joey D started back in 2011, was what spearheaded this group movement. So fans like me and him, my sister Sixer Spirit, and a few other Sixer fans, a couple of them have now passed on, ascended the hoops heavens, because they were some real OG hoops enthusiasts. Now this current ownership group has owned the Sixers since 2010. So we're going into what? The 15th season under this current ownership group. But they haven't shown us, and I'm talking about now the select group of people I just named, including myself, they haven't shown us the respect we deserve as lifelong fans who have put our all into cheering on a basketball team that we grew up rooting for. And it started in 2012, right before the 50th anniversary season of the 76ers. Me, Joey D, and with the assistance of a couple others, we put together a list of the 50 greatest 76ers from 1963-64 through that 2011-12 season. It was like, all right, since the organization is going to recognize the 50th season, here's a list of the 50 greatest Sixers during that time. And maybe we have a nice little halftime ceremony featuring those players who are still here in the physical realm. Because I know at that time, there was a lot of ex-Sixer legends still in the physical realm. You know what I mean? As we know, Wilt, he had ascended the hoops heavens back in 1999. But I think other than that, a good 90 to 95% of the 50 greatest Sixers listed were still in the physical realm, and there could have been a nice halftime ceremony done. But, you know what I mean, the organization just didn't take heed. And so there was never no 50 greatest players celebration. Because the ideas I had, that we had, were some great ideas. For one, each of the Sixer legends would wear a warm-up jacket representing their era. But, you know what I mean, nothing was never done about it. The organization felt like there was no need to honor the 50 greatest Sixers. So, like I said, they just said whatever and nothing was done. Now, during the summer of 2013, As we know, this was right before the process era. That rebuild, everybody knew that it was going to be a rebuild, and I was the main one saying, now is the time, since the team's going to be a lottery team for the next few seasons. Now is the time to really honor the past greats that played for the Sixers, like that played for the organization, period, going back to the roots of the Syracuse Nationals. We had a massive game plan, the ultimate fan experience. The ultimate fan experience would include a fully length history book, which would have been written by me, an actual video with like 20 some hours. Matter of fact, it was 76 hours of content highlighting the franchise history going back to the roots of Syracuse. You know what I mean? The OG Sixer fan Kevin, who was actually from upstate New York, grew up a Syracuse Nationals fan, and followed the team when they became the 76ers in 1963. He was going to cover the Syracuse years. Meanwhile, Joey D was going to cover the Sixer years from 1976 through the present. And meanwhile, another Sixer fan, she didn't want her name mentioned or whatever. She feels like it's slanderous to the franchise. She's still a long-time season ticket holder, so out of respect for her, I'm not going to name her. But she was around in 1963, and she was going to narrate the first 13 years of the 76er years in Philadelphia. Then, as I stated earlier, Joey D would handle the rest. So those three would be narrating the DVD with a complete breakdown, highlighting all the franchise greats from Dolph Schayes through Drew Holiday, who had just been traded and was just an all-star. Then the DVD would also, because it was I think it was like a 6 or 7 part DVD. Like the first 3 discs, matter of fact, the first 2 discs will be breaking down Sixers history. That was like maybe 8 or 9 hours. And then the other DVDs will feature some of the greatest games in team history. You know what I mean? As much footage as you could get for that. You know what I mean? I had access to footage from the 67 season, which includes the 140-116 Game 5 clincher over Boston that ended the Celtics dynasty, along with the Game 6 125-122 clincher in the 67 finals against the then San Francisco Warriors. Also classic games from the late 70s, 77, 78. You know what I mean? The 80s, of course, the 83 clincher in LA. The 82 Game 7 120-106 clincher in Boston. The last time the Sixers beat the Celtics in a playoff series. Then there was going to be a team store that sold all Sixer merchandise. Every Sixer throwback jersey you could think of, fitted hats, jackets, shirts, you know what I mean, books, DVDs, whatever. But the ownership group felt that instead of the ownership group actually taking heed, this is when I knew the ownership group wasn't that, you know what I mean, wasn't that, what's the word I'm looking for? Shit, they weren't that bright, intelligent. But anyway, they felt the need, instead of sitting down and talking to us, they instead passed the information down to the people actually in charge of the marketing department and promoting the team history or whatever, they knew that taking heed to our ideas might mean that they might get pushed out. And I've stated this before, but I just didn't really go into full detail. So basically the ultimate fan experience didn't go down, and that led to a lot of rifts inside our camp. Even me and Joey D were at odds for a little minute. It was just all because the organization didn't take heed. And when the process first started in 2013, you would figure, okay, within the next 10 years, this team will have won a championship. 11 years later, still nothing. Now this team now has a good shot at being a legit championship contender, but then again, only time will tell. But after last season, like I've just had it, I said I'm no longer financially supporting this organization, and not just for the reasons I just mentioned, but also for the fact that they don't do nothing for the season ticket holders no more. I've been a season ticket holder since the early AI years. And before, you could count on there being at least 5 or 6 events per year, at least for Sixer fans. During the season alone, you would have 3 or 4 events, maybe 5. Then during the summer months, they would do something for the fans. Now, I can't remember the last time I've been to a season ticket holder event. I'm like, what's the point of having season tickets if they don't do shit for the season ticket holders? I'm better off just getting individual tickets. It's like, like I said, it's not the basketball team, it's the organization itself, how they treat the fans. Then every year they keep going up, raising the ticket prices, yet the team is still yet to have been out past the second round since the process began. 2023, the team was just minutes away from finally advancing and finally dethroning the Celtics, but fucked it up. And it was almost at that point right there. Well, at that point, I had already renewed. See, how they get you is that you have to renew it by the end of February. And renewing is the only way you could be locked in for the playoffs. If you don't renew, you got to fend for your own playoff tickets. So at that point, I had already renewed for 23-24. But this year, this past season, they was already again going up on the prices. At that point, nobody knew when Embiid was coming back. Again, the organization's not doing nothing for the season ticket holders. And I was like, I had it. And I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling anyway, so I'm not always going to be in the city when the Sixers play a home game too. That's another reason. So I'll be buying my tickets off of other season ticket holders. And for those of you Einsteins to be like, well, you're still supporting the Sixers organization. No, not really. I'm supporting that person that's selling that game. Their money then already went to the tickets. My money is going to them directly. And a lot of people, sometimes they just give me their ticket if they can't make the game. You know, I'm like, I have 2 tickets, and the only time I usually would have to purchase tickets is like for like a marquee game or something like that. But a couple of my friends did the same thing. I'm not the only one that did renew my season tickets. There's been fans that's been season ticket holders for 30 and 40 years that didn't renew after last season because they felt like I felt. Like, how is it that we're spending all this money and y'all don't even do nothing for the fans? You know, so it's crazy. I'm like, hopefully a championship comes soon, because from the people I talk to, more and more people are getting fed up having season tickets, and they're saying what I've been saying, like, man, it's cheaper to just go to a few games and buy individual tickets. Like I said, going down there every night isn't the thrill that it was during the AI years. During the AI years, that building was packed and rocking every night. But since they traded them back in 2006, it hasn't been the same. I mean, it picked back up recently over the last few years. But it's like, for the team that still haven't even been to the conference finals yet, and this was their 7th season as a playoff team, and we're going into the 8th season of them, I'm sure they'll make the playoffs for an 8th straight season. It would have to be a major disaster for the Sixers not to make it. Not with this roster. You know what I mean? Bearing any major injuries, this team should definitely be a top 2 seed. But that was just my take on it last time. I'm always going to support the home team. I'm Philly through and through. All the Philly teams get my love. Even the Flyers, even though I'm not into hockey. So I don't go to no Flyers games or nothing. But you'll see me rocking some Flyers black and orange. You know what I mean? That's also homage to my Overbrook Panther colors, black and orange. But anyway, that was just my take. I'm going to always represent for those that say, oh, you're not a real fan. Oh, well, so be it. I'm a hoops enthusiast. You know what I mean? And you might say, well, enthusiast and fan mean the same thing. Maybe to a certain extent, but there's still some little differences in there. You know what I mean? The difference is I contribute to the franchise more so than the average fan. But anyway, stay tuned for more content. I'm going to be doing another video, Sixer related. Again, talking about the upcoming 76 franchise anniversary season and how that is the season where it's championship or bust. But anyway, like and share the video, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more Hawks, Hoops, Talk, and Squawk. Hawk out.